reflect those of this station, the station's network, any other affiliates under this network, or its sponsors. Unless they do, and then we'll totally take credit for them, because this is radio, and that's how we roll. Want to know what's going on in Belvedere, Illinois, or around the world? Then tune to BNNSradio.com on your computer or your mobile device and give us a listen. That's BNNSradio.com.
Here we go.
News, sports, comedy, politics, everything you would expect in a morning show. Faster than the fastest nightmare. Brighter than the dullest dream.
Right here.
Right now. The Morning Show with Uncle Bill. Grab your coffee and hang on. For the next 2 hours, the unexpected will haunt you, entertain you, and drive you absolutely insane. So let's get started. Here's Uncle Bill.
Well, my friends, here's Uncle Bill. Well, I'm here. I might be here in body, and you can physically see me, but I'm not so sure I'm here mentally this morning. A couple of things have happened that it's just got my mind in a whirl. Number one, we got out of our meeting last night later than usual, and then I got up early this morning to do my usual, and then I got a phone call, and it just threw my whole day out of whack. And so I'm here physically, and I appreciate you all being here with me this morning. We especially want to thank the studio audience who has taken their time. When I got to the studio this morning, they were already lined up, and I still had almost an hour and a half before we ever, turn on the on signal, and they were lined up ready to go, and I think they've consumed all the donuts out there already, and so maybe they just come here for the treats. I don't know. You like our content? Yeah. Oh yeah. There's some guys out. Yeah, they're raising their hand. They like it. Just don't throw any jelly donuts at the window. I just cleaned the window yesterday. Okay. Had a guy throw a jelly donut at me the other day when I said I made some wise remark. I don't remember what it was now, but apparently he does. But anyway, this is the morning show with Uncle Bill. Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about what was your first car. You remember your first car and what it was like to get behind the wheel of your car and how proud you were. And if I'll get it out in a minute. If young people today, in my case anyway, I don't know about Big D or Craig or any of the other chatters and so on and so forth, but if some of them saw what I drove for my first car, they would go, I wouldn't be seen dead in that. I remember, well, I'll get into that when we get into the show. And we'll see what else pops up this morning. What we can find to talk about this morning as we move on here. This is the morning show with Uncle Bill, or with Bill Vallant, a.k.a. Uncle Bill of BNNS Radio, where you can get real-time answers to everything that you are seeking, whether it be news, sports, entertainment, music, song, just chit-chat, or old-time memories. It's all right here on BNNS Radio.
Stay, stay, stay.
trying to make it feel, but I fear the Lord. Too many people lost in their hustle, and on it seems like it's never gonna stop. I know it's gonna be okay. In the midst of my storm, I'm riding on the waves in the grip of His grace. Keep your eyes off the trouble. It's trying to take you away, but I say, stay in the grip of His grace. Stay, stay, stay in the grip of His grace. Now that I could worry less, I take the time to breathe it in. When you speak right to me, everything is smooth as glass. Even though I get to see, it doesn't mean the wind blows my way. Look around, there's so much more than staring into a hurricane. I know it's gonna be okay. In the midst of my storm, I'm riding on the waves in the grip of His grace. Keep your eyes off the trouble. It's trying to take you away, but I say, stay in the grip of His grace. Stay, stay, stay in the grip of His grace. I know it's gonna be okay. In the midst of my storm, I'm riding on the waves in the grip of His grace. Keep your eyes off the trouble. It's trying to take you away, but I say, stay in the grip of His grace. Stay, stay, stay in the grip of His grace. Stay, stay, stay in the grip of His grace.
Uncle Bill would like to apologize in advance for whatever he may say tomorrow. The Morning Show with Uncle Bill on BNNS Radio.
And that brings us back into the studio here, located at 221 North Main Street, Belvedere, Illinois, the home of our family of faith, First Presbyterian Church, located at the corner of Lincoln and Main Street here in beautiful Belvedere, Illinois. Somewhat flooded Belvedere, Illinois. Yep, our Kishwaukee, some of it call it the Kishmucky because the water's kind of murky and mucky. So it's the Kishmucky River. And I remember Uncle Jim, when he, Craig's dad, I remember when he came up to Belvedere one time, I took him down to the Piscasaw, where the Piscasaw runs into the Kishwaukee. And he just chuckled and couldn't get over it. He just loved those two terms, the Piscasaw running into the Kishwaukee. And at one time, years ago, I looked up those names. There was a definite, I mean, where do you come up with the name Piscasaw? And have you ever thought about names? I love names. In fact, I was putting together a show that in fact, I still want to do it. But have you ever thought about names? But this just is a insight to give you something to think about between now and maybe even next week. I'm ready to go even next week's shows. But have you ever thought about names? How people come up with names? Picture in your mind, if you will. I could actually do this on camera now because we are on YouTube, and I appreciate those people that have been tuning into the YouTube site and listening to our shows. And so take this name. If you look at the camera and you see this name, and somebody was to write this name, how would you pronounce that name? Well, somebody wrote that down once, and I El Shah. I didn't pick up on it, but it's Ladasha. And first of all, I thought, well, who would ever call their kid Ladasha in the first place? But have you ever thought about some of the weird names that all of a sudden, we used to call each other Bobby, Johnny, Karen, Pete, Butchie, Ronnie, Kathy, Peggy. Some of the common names, Margaret, some of the common names that you hear of all the people that you grew up with, especially if you're my age. But nowadays, it is weird names. Kaisha, or, I don't, but anyway, I went back and we were doing a Bible study one morning, and if you go through the Old Testament and look at the names, Nicodemus, Lazarus, some of them you can't even pronounce. Like there's one, and it's actually a book of the Bible, but the guy's name was Habakkuk. Some people call it Habakkuk or Habakkuk, but it's Habakkuk. But have you ever noticed that in the Old Testament and even in the New Testament, there was no last names? No last names. Lazarus, the son of King David, or I don't know. Well, and if you read Matthew chapter 1, it's so-and-so begat so-and-so, and so-and-so begat so-and-so. And of course, the word begat meaning the father of. So we will get into it in a future show. But I don't know what even got me going on that this morning, but it's had to do with something with like the names of the rivers, Kishwaukee, the Piscasaw. How do you come up with these names, and how do people decide that they're going to change the names? And then also I meant to mention that when you get to the New Testament, all of a sudden we're seeing Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Paul, Saul, Simon, some of your more common names. And I just wondered where the transition came and why the names of these of people in biblical times changed. Of course, Jesus is, but then again, if you see that name today, it's not Jesus, it's Jesus. So was the real pronunciation of Jesus Jesus? I don't know. We all pronounce it Jesus, but anyway, that is a future show, and I think we can get in and have some fun with that. And I did know, and I do know the research. I have done the research on finding out how people come up with last names. And when did the last names develop? Why did we start using last names in the first place? Why do we need last names? I mean, when people talk to you, they say, "Hi, Bill." They don't say, "Hi, Bill Vallant," or "Hi, Daryl." It's not "Hi, Daryl Dunlap," or what, I mean, and then you get your nicknames. You give your kid a name, like my name was William, but they all called me Butch. Okay, that was it. Anyway, that's a future show. 70 degrees currently in Belvedere under overcast skies. Winds out of the south at 4 miles per hour, 78% humidity. And for today, they are predicting a 30% chance of some isolated thunderstorms throughout the region. Humidity is going to remain at around 78%. High temperature today, 85 degrees, with a low tonight of 69 degrees. So that's what we have in store for today. Now, for tomorrow, they are predicting a high of 81 with a 40% chance of precipitation. And it's just going to be showers tomorrow, AM showers and showers throughout the day and into the night. So no major rainfalls. That's going to add to the flooding process, hopefully. But our ground is so saturated that they're saying that we are getting a lot of runoff because the ground is so saturated, there's no place for the water to go. And our water tables are all full. So that being the case,
Uncle Bill would like to apologize.
No, dummy. You hit the wrong button.
Big D, co-host on the morning show with Uncle Bill, right here on BNNS Radio. You'll wonder how you ever got along without him.
Good morning, Uncle Bill.
Good morning, Daryl Dunlap, Big D. Or am I supposed to say that?
That just sounds ridiculous.
But am I supposed to say that?
You can say that if you want to.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted your name.
You're actually supposed to break between the first and last name. It's Daryl Big D Dunlap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, why is it Big D? Where'd you come up with the nickname Big D, or who gave it to you?
My dad actually started that because he used to call me, "You big dummy." And then he got tired. He just shortened it. "Hey, Big D, come here." No, I got that nickname right after shortly after I came out of the Army, because when I left and came back, what came back from the Army was way different than what left. And no, I'm serious. I was 5'10" when I went in the Army, and I weighed about 65, 70 pounds. And when I came out of the Army, I was 6'2" and weighed 235 pounds.
You actually shrunk?
I was 5'10" and about 165, 170 pounds when I went into the Army.
5'10".
When I came out of the Army, I was 6'2".
I'm sorry. You got taller but fatter.
No, it wasn't fat. I had 11% body fat.
Okay. So how'd you put on so much mass?
Well, when you go into a military mess hall and they look at you and say, "Boy, you need to eat," you don't argue. I watch guys get food in the military. They were overweight, so they used this little bitty spoon to give them food with. In my case, mine looked like one of those serving spoons that people hang on the wall.
Well, when I was in the Air Force, y'all ate the same, and y'all got worked out the same, and they didn't discriminate.
We had one guy. He told the drill instructor, he said, "I came into the military. One of the reasons I came in was to get in shape." And it did not matter what that drill sergeant told that young man to do. He did it. He never complained. If he only got 2 teaspoons of eggs and a glass of water, that's all he got, and he didn't complain. And, buddy, when he got done after 9 weeks of basic training, you should have seen him.
Well, yeah, that's one thing you learn in the military, in basic training anyway. You don't complain.
No, what I'm saying is, guys had to figure that out.
Well, I understand.
And after you complain and do enough push-ups, you quit complaining.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy came in and he told the drill sergeant that day one, and he never complained.
Remember the movie Officer and a Gentleman?
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff is actually true.
I watched guys about a third of the way through training, the CO of our training battalion walked up and he said, "Boys, I got the paperwork right here." He said, "If you can't hack it, come on with me." And I watched about 15 or out of about 200 and something guys, I watched about 15 or 20 of them walk away. After like 3 weeks.
Before we bring Craig in with us on the conversation, I want to just kind of share just a moment, and you can too. Couple of the remembering things that I remember when I was in basic, because the rest of your career in the military is pretty generic. It's like you have an everyday job just like anybody else. But basic training is a whole new world all in of itself. But one of the best times we ever had was pulling guard duty on our dorm, being the dorm guard. Did they call them dorms or barracks with you? What branch were you in?
Army.
So there you lived in barracks.
Yeah.
Well, ours was called dorms. And my dorm, actually, believe it or not, I can still remember my barracks is 1404, or my dorm was 1404, and AF 176534748 is actually my dog tag number. I don't know why I remember that, but I still do. And anyway, we had this one guy in our platoon or in our squad that we did not like, the flight. In the Air Force, they call it a flight. So this one guy in our flight, nobody really cared for him because he was one of these cocky guys that came in and, he was going to be a drill sergeant. You're going to follow the rules and blah, and he just put you through pure hell if he ever got dorm duty. And so we had another guy in the barracks that was pretty good at different things. And so one night this guy is pulling dorm guard. Now, above the door, when you come in your dorm, there's a loudspeaker, and that is connected to the CO's office. And if the CO wanted something or needed to communicate with a certain dorm, it was just a vast intercom system. You would hear coming over the squawk boxes, we called it, dorm 1404. And at that time, anyway, the dorm guard's responsibility, or if it was during the daytime, the barracks sergeant or the TI or somebody would run up and answer. But at nighttime, the dorm guard's responsibility was to patrol up and down the barracks and the dorm every once in a while, making sure everybody was in their bunks, nobody was messing with anybody else's foot locker, and so on and so forth. And we would wait until the jerk, the guy that everybody hated, we wait till he got all the way down to the end of the dorm, and then this guy would cup his hands over his mouth, and he would say, barracks 1404, just like it was coming over and he made it sound just like it was coming over the speaker. And this guy would run back down to the squawk box, excuse me, and and you had to salute, because you're talking to CO. You would salute and say, barracks 1404, sir. And then the CO would give his command. Well, he would stand there, barracks 1404, sir, and salute, nothing. Barracks 1404, sir, nothing. So then he just, I don't know what he assumed, but he would resume his duties. And then an hour later, he'd make his rounds again. And just as he got down at the end, barracks 1404. And he would run back down there, salute that box, 1404, sir, barracks 1404. And it was hilarious. We had this guy running around and just driving everybody crazy. And my last little story of basic that I remember is that one of the things that they teach you is that when you're on dorm guard duty and you're pulling dorm guard, nobody, and I mean nobody, gets in that door without proper identification. And we had a captain who loved to go around to different barracks or dorms and try to gain entry based on his rank. And a lot of times he won. He would get in because these young recruits were scared of rank. And so one night the guy pulled it on our dorm, and we just happened to have the right dorm guard on there, and he ran up and saluted and said, "Barracks 1404, sir, how may I help you?" And the captain said, "I would like to enter your barracks, and may I see your identification, sir?" "I don't need no damned identification. I'm your captain." "I'm sorry, sir. You cannot allow, I'm not allowed to allow entry without proper identification." And he says, "Yeah, I don't need any identification. Can't you see I'm your captain, blah, blah, blah." And they went round and around a couple times. And finally the captain says, "Boy, if you don't open this door right now, I'm going to rip this door off its hinges, and I'm coming through that gate, and you are going to pay." And he tried to open that door, and that dorm guard literally picked that captain up and threw his butt back out on the ground outside the door. And he says, "I told..."
5 nothing. I don't know his height, but he was just one of those short, real skinny kids. Used to getting picked on. Good kid, but he was just of the smaller stature, which made him kind of a victim in school. Well, anyway, he was a couple years behind me, and after I graduated, I had to be in my mid-20s. I was down at the local lake, and I was fishing, and this was kind of an out of the way area, kind of a lagoon area. Bill, you would know it back behind the ball diamonds, that lagoon.
Yes.
And you know how it was kind of isolated back in there, but it was great fishing, little panfish, lots of seaweed and stuff. Well, I'm there fishing, and the reason I mentioned that,
it was good for bullheads too.
Yeah, unfortunately. The reason I mentioned seaweed is you kind of had to pick and choose where you fished, because it was that packed full of seaweed. Well, I was at one end